Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell Owens, and we are here for another edition of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the Amazing Bowie TV. Look, we are excited because the regular season is over. You know, we didn't come to you last night. You probably was like, well, Darrell, where are you? It's Thursday. Well, Thursday Night Football last night. And tomorrow, we will have our NFL playoffs start. And for those who are excited about playoff football, raise your hand. Just a little bit. So excited about playoff football tomorrow. Can't wait to see what it brings. We got two great matchups tomorrow to start things off. You got, hopefully you want all these matches to be great, but you got the Panthers taking on the Rams at 4:30 to get things rocking and rolling. And then you got the Packers and the Bears on Sunday night, but on Saturday night at 8 p.m. on Prime. The Panthers and the Rams are going to be on Fox. That's how we get the weekend kicked off tomorrow. But we'll get into all the other games here in just a little bit on the show. But just pumped up, episode 197. When do we get to Super Bowl week? We'll be at 200. So we're getting closer and closer to the 200 episode. And I want to thank those people who have been, supporters, reached out to me, all that good stuff. Truly appreciate that. I want to do a shout out my man, Clark Franklin. Clark's always on it, man. So he's one guy that just, has been really good when it comes to just the support on the fan front. So I appreciate you, Clark, man. Appreciate you, brother. Now, with that being said, let's get into it, y'all. Episode 197 of 101, the Wildcard Weekend edition, begins now. One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network. Whoa. Shout out to my man Chosen. BLM in the building. Hold up. Oh, your boy phone going off. Give us 2 seconds here, y'all. Just a little MJ going on there. That's telling me it's time to walk, but we'll get into that after the show. Well, once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. Episode 197 on 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the Amazing Bowie Television. NFL playoffs are here, and so we got to get into all that. We got our final bottom, outside looking in, and top 10, and which we're going to get to. It's not going to be that much of a breakdown like normal. These episodes are a little bit quicker than the ones that we have during the regular season, but that'll be the last one that you see, ladies and gentlemen, until next season. Now, we still do have our playoff power rankings that we will bring you. We still have one last King of the Gridiron for the regular season, debating if I'm going to do it for the playoffs next week. Just like I said, just debating. I may do it. I've never done it for the playoffs before. But we may just highlight two people that did amazing during the playoffs, like we've been doing throughout the season, just add another element. And then, of course, just going to get into those rankings, preview the games, and then, of course, give you my winners. And so we're going to do all of that fun stuff in this episode. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do our last bottom of the of this 2025-2026 season. I didn't know how I want to say that. Whoa, the bottom is here. Here it is, the final bottom of the NFL season. Oh, wait a minute. Just jumping the gun, y'all. Man, my graphics treatment bad. The Kings of Gridiron. I guess you get an early preview of the Kings of the Gridiron. All right, so here we go. The bottom for the final week of the season. This is pretty much our final for the season. At 32, the Raiders, they have clinched the number one pick in the 2026 NFL draft. So congratulations to that. They are on a head coaching they're on a head coaching search as we speak, as Pete Carroll did get fired last week. So that is a little bit unfortunate. You know, it was just tough. And we'll just kind of see how that all goes. And who will be the next head coach? We're gonna find it all out. At number 31, we've got the New York Football Jets, and the Jets. They've clinched the second pick of the draft, so there's a lot of situation on where they would go. A lot of people think it's automatically going to be a quarterback. I still personally think if there is a veteran quarterback that you can bring in to kind of bridge the gap, you may have to do that one way or the other. So we'll see where the Jets go with that number 2 pick of the draft. But they are, ladies and gentlemen, they are picking second, and they're 31 in our power ranking. At 30, the Arizona Cardinals, another team that is looking for a brand new head coach. That search is on in Arizona to see who will take over and be the next person to lead the charge there in Arizona. They got a quarterback situation they got to figure out with Kyler Murray, all of that fun stuff. That's all going to go down. So we got to figure out that in Arizona. So good luck to the Cardinals in the offseason. At 29, another team looking for a head coach, the Tennessee Titans. They have brought in a couple people so far. Mike McCarthy has been a name I've heard. I think Kevin Stefanski may be also on that list. And, of course, the big name, I don't know if he's going to be a part of that, but John Harbaugh is now a free agent, on the coaching front. It makes him the number one guy right off the bat with the Super Bowl experience and what he's been able to do with the Ravens for the last 18 years. So we'll see how that goes. But the Titans, I felt like they finished strong. Yes, 3-14, but I feel like they got better play as the season went along. And Cam Ward showed some flashes, and excited to see what his future will look like. I'll get a chance to see him in person next year because the Commanders do travel to Nashville to take on the Titans next season. At 28, the New York Football Giants, another team looking for a head coach. They have just they interviewed Kevin Stefanski. I know John Harbaugh is really high on their list. They've got a couple of other coaches. They've also interviewed former head coach Antonio Pearson, former Giant great. So he is another person that's in the mix for that job in New York. At 27, the Cleveland Browns, another team that kind of finished strong towards the end. They had some good moments beating the Bengals, beating Pittsburgh. And, that Pittsburgh game forced us to see that great game that we saw on Sunday night because of what they were able to do. So that's another job that is going to be, we'll say it's a highly rated job because of the defense. They've got some things they have to do offensively. They're going to have to really make some moves offensively. They got to figure out the Deshaun Watson situation. Will Shedeur start next season? So many elements when it comes to Cleveland. At 26, the Washington Commanders. Washington not looking for a new head coach. Dan Quinn will be back next season. Got a chance to be at that press conference on Monday when him and Adam Peters had a chance to kind of go over the future. The very next day, both Joe Witt, the defensive coordinator, and Kingsbury had, Cliff Kingsbury had been, not necessarily released or fired, but Kingsbury and the Commanders have mutually agreed to part ways, and coach Joe Witt was fired. So they're looking for 2 new coordinators in Washington. At 25, the Kansas City Chiefs, and, no Pat Mahomes. This could be the end for Travis Kelce. We'll find out here in the next couple of weeks. And it's just, I was surprised that we saw Kansas City at the bottom most of the season, but they finished 6-11, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Kansas City. At 24, the New Orleans Saints. I have apologized to the Saints enough this season. I like what I've seen. I think Tyler Shaw deserves a chance to start next year. That's just me personally. I mean, they're going to be picking kind of where they're picking, so they may not be able to get the quarterback if they decide they want to look for a quarterback. But I think Tyler Shaw deserves at least a shot to start next year. He played solid for the Saints, and they gave the division problems. So we'll see. At 23, the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati is a big question mark in the offseason. Zach Taylor will be staying on as head coach, but they've got to figure out what they're going to do defensively. It's bad, man. Like, it's really bad. Like, they've got to figure out what they're going to do defensively. They're still, to me, going to be all right offensively. It's all about the defense. That offense plays strong down the stretch. And when Joe Burrow's healthy, then the sky's the limit. So we'll see. At 22, another team looking for a new head coach, the Miami Dolphins, also looking for a GM as well. And the Dolphins last week said, hey, Mike McDonald's our guy going into next season. And then as soon as that John Harbaugh bomb dropped, everything changed. Next day, he was done. So now he's a hot coach, offensive coordinator candidate. Washington is a name that a lot of people scream at because of him and his connection with Dan Quinn. And, Detroit is like the first team that kind of like officially reached out to him. So we're going to see where that all, where it kind of lands. We'll see. So Dolphins at 22. At 21 and finishing up the bottom, the Dallas Cowboys. They lost their last game of the season to the Giants. Had a chance to finish at 500, and they lose like 34-17. I think they let the starters play for a while, and then they kind of like backed out of it. And they finish under 500 in Schottenheimer's first year as the head coach. So, it's funny because I had them going 7-10. So they almost made me believe it. So they almost had me looking good, but it is what it is. Final bottom, ladies and gentlemen, for the 2025-2026 season: Raiders, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, Giants, Browns, Commanders, Chiefs, Saints, Bengals, Dolphins, and Dallas Cowboys. There it is, the final bottom of the 2025-2026 season. Now let's go ahead and jump into the final outside looking in. With this outside looking in, at number 20, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are a team that I think a lot of people are just disappointed because I think they really thought that they were going to be the 1 seed. And I think they had the chances for it, and it just didn't happen. And that's the unfortunate thing. So they were 7-1 at one point, and they ended up finishing the season 1-8. That's tough. they were 7-1. They were looking like they were going to be the 1 seed. Daniel Jones having the season of a lifetime for him, of his career, and it just doesn't go their way. So the Colts, who have decided to keep their head coach and GM, and a lot of fans not thrilled about both. Coach, they may have let fly, but the GM, people are not thrilled about the fact that he's still the GM there. So, Miss Carly's going to have to figure something out there in Indianapolis. At 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, just a really rough way to end the season. They won, which put them in position to potentially be in the playoffs. Could have been a really dangerous playoff team too, just based off of, who they have on that team and how talented they can be at times. It was rough. And looking at what they what they did down the stretch, that losing streak, and just they shot themselves right out of the playoffs. So they'll be a team that's interesting. Maybe, come back next year healthy. I still don't think you doubt them next year going into it, but they've got some things they got to do. They thought Todd Bowles was going to be on the hot seat, which he kind of was, and definitely into next season. But the Glazers decided to give him another shot. They're at 19. At 18, the Atlanta Falcons. They are a team looking for a new head coach, Raheem Morris, and their GM, Terry Fontenot, gone. And so that is going to be a very hot job, commodity. They've got some really good pieces in Bijan Robinson, and Kyle Pitts showed up late in that season, looked pretty good. Drake London. They've got a solid offense with a young, good defense. So the right man there could spell some trouble or spell some good things for Atlanta. At 17, the Baltimore Ravens. As you know, they are looking for a new head coach. They've already interviewed Vance Joseph, and they've also planned on interviewing Brian Flores, which I think Brian Flores would be really good for that job. They need a guy that can bring that defense back to where it was, and he would be the guy, man. He would be the guy. That's my pick currently if I had to choose for Baltimore. but we'll see. They lose in a dramatic fashion to the Steelers. Tyler Lupu had a great year, misses a field goal at the end, losing 26-24, and the Steelers win the AFC North and become champs, and will host the playoff game this weekend. But the Ravens, tough year. They went 1-5, then they got all the way back, was 6-5, then they just could not finish it up strong, and they end up missing the playoffs by just a game. At 16, the Detroit Lions finishing 9-8, and maybe not the finish they would want. They fired their offensive coordinator, so they are looking for a new coordinator there. I still think Detroit is a team that bounces back strong next year, and you can't look past them. The NFC North is a very strange division, but the teams are solid, so you have to watch out for them. At 15, the Minnesota Vikings, a team that went on a nice little winning streak to finish the season, went on the 5-game winning streak to finish the season, to finish 9-8. And some teams in there maybe not the best or the sexiest in people's eyes, but they won the games. And just imagine if they got solid quarterback play, where they would be. If they have Sam Darnold, in my opinion, I think they're probably the 1 or the 2 seed in the NFC, and they win the division if they had solid quarterback play. That's my opinion, but it is what it is. At 14, the Green Bay Packers. I have them finishing at that position here. Green Bay lost 4 straight games to end the season. They were 9-3. They were sitting at the 2 seed. They just beat Chicago. Then after that, they lose Micah. Jordan Love gets a concussion. Injuries just start to pile up. And they back into the playoffs. Yes, they got in 2 weeks ago, but they backed into this playoffs. So, everybody's gonna wonder how it goes. And Matt LaFleur is somewhat on the hot seat. It may be more of a lukewarm seat. So it's interesting to see where they go. If the Packers lose this game, don't be surprised if both GM and coach are gone, only because they will be looking, the new president may want his people in there. So that's something to look out for. Just watch out, Packers fans. You just never know. At 13, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina win the division, but they had to cross their fingers and keep their eyes closed and pray that the Atlanta Falcons would win last week, which they did after they lost their game to Tampa Bay. So, when Carolina lost to Tampa Bay, everything was all Atlanta, and Atlanta ends up squeaking one out 19-17, beating the Saints, and they were that close where they could have been out and the Buccaneers would have been in. They will host the Rams to kick the playoffs off tomorrow. At 12, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is a good football team. Okay. They're not super special, but they're a good football team. Tough, rugged football team. And you got the only quarterback to have, if I'm not mistaken, to have been to a Super Bowl that's on that side. The Chargers have got Herbert. Stroud is young gun. Josh Allen's been an MVP, but he hasn't been able to make the big game. AFC Championship appearance, yes. Trevor Lawrence has been in the playoffs once. This is Bo Nix and Drake May's first time in the playoffs. And so I'm not saying just because he won a Super Bowl that, oh my God, they're going to Super Bowl. But you have to also look at the fact that he has the experience. And yes, he's come up short sometimes. But if there was going to be a year that he could surprise where there's no expectation for them to win it or to go to the Super Bowl, this would be the year, the way the AFC is structured. So just all I say is keep an eye on the Steelers. At 11, the San Diego, a.k.a. LA Chargers, will finish at the top of the outside looking in. They will face the New England Patriots on Sunday night at 8 o'clock. So here it is, the last outside looking in. Colts, Bucks, Falcons, Ravens, Lions, Vikings, Packers, Panthers, Steelers, and last but not least in this outside looking in, the Chargers. So we finish up our last outside looking in, and now we head to the final top 10 of the 2025-2026 season. All right, so here it is, final top 10. At number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles lost their game against the Commanders, but it's pretty much the second string in there, so you couldn't really judge it. But, They finish at number 10, and they're a team that you still don't want to face in the playoffs. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. They know what they're doing. At number 9, the Chicago Bears. Chicago, and it may be just me doubting them a little bit. I don't know. And I think it's only because they're still young and they're still figuring it out, but they've got a lot of talent on that team, and Ben Johnson has done a phenomenal job coaching that team. Some people will say it's hate. It really isn't. I just think that the teams I have ahead of them are truly better than them. But anything can happen in the playoffs. So watch out for Chicago Bears. At number 8, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers lost a tough matchup to the Seahawks 13-3, and they had everything in the palm of their hand. They could have not left the state of California if they had won last week. They could have stayed in the state of California all the way up into the Super Bowl, where the Super Bowl is at their home. But they could not pull it off last week, and now they're going to have to hit the road and go to Philly and hope that they can see San Francisco at least one more time this season, or Santa Clara, I should say. At number 7, the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is the 6th seed. They're going to take on Jacksonville. It's going to be a fun matchup. Buffalo will be interesting. This is, to me, the year. If you're going to do it, this has got to be it. It's set up. No Mahomes, no Lamar. So if Josh Allen wants to have his superstar year and make the Super Bowl, this is it. Buddy, you got to take advantage of it. That's all I'm saying. At number 6, the Houston Texans. Probably the quietest team in the AFC. Why? They got the best defense. Their offense is, has its moments. But if that defense plays lights out and that offense can do just enough to keep things rolling, the Texans could make – I could see the Texans in the AFC Championship game and maybe even the Super Bowl. Just watch out for Houston. At number 5, the team that I picked to go to the Super Bowl this year, the LA Rams. And I'm sticking with that until they're eliminated, if they're eliminated at all. I had the Rams winning the Super Bowl. I had the Ravens going in the AFC. Obviously, the Ravens ruined my chances to make that happen last week. So I will be picking a new person in the AFC, in my opinion, to be the representative. At number 4, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville, I just have a feeling. Don't know what the feeling is. There's something about this team. That's all I know. There's something about this team. We just see how they do it. So if they can get past Buffalo, anything can happen. I feel like that with both sides of the playoffs this year, but there's something about Jacksonville. I just feel it. At number 3, the Denver Broncos, who are the 1 seed in the AFC, but I had them finishing 3 in my power ranking. I just offensively it has its moments, but I just had them at number 3. I love their defense. Defense is top-notch defense in the league, top 5 for sure, if not number 1. I think they may be, don't know what their last ranking was, but they're up there, and they are young, and they are a problem. At number 2, the New England Patriots. They are the 2 seed heading into the playoffs. They had a big win this past week, and now they just see if they can, get a win, get a second game in Foxborough, but they got the Chargers coming into town. And last but not least, finishing the season at the top, the Seattle Seahawks. Big win to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs over San Francisco, and they finished the season in the last 3 weeks as our number 1. So, top 10, Eagles, Bears, 49ers, Bills, Texans, Rams, Jags, Broncos, Patriots, and last but not least, the number 1 team to finish off the 2025-2026 regular season, Seattle Seahawks. Man, oh man, I'm telling you, man, it was a very interesting season, and some things panned out. We had a lot of teams in the mix, run of the mill, have chances, just didn't materialize. So that happens, and it is what it is. So now we're gonna go to our finale. We're gonna finish this bad boy up, and we're gonna give you some predictions and stuff for the playoff games tomorrow. Let's get it. Into a little early in the show by accident, but give a shout out to our Kings of the Gridiron for Week 18, Mitch Trubisky, who came in and ran things for Josh Allen while they were getting themselves prepared, beat up on the Jets, winning 35-8. Mitch Trubisky went 22 for 29. He threw for 259 yards passing. He had 4 touchdowns and a QBR of 142.1 in the win over the Jets. So shout out to Mitch Trubisky getting on the board here for King of the Gridiron. And on the defensive side, Mr. Devin Bush Jr. for the Browns. 14 tackles, 1 interception, and a touchdown in the 20-18 victory over Cincinnati to finish the season 5-12. So there it is. Kings of the Gridiron for Week 18, Mitch Trubisky and Devin Bush Jr. So here is my final MVP candidate race. And obviously, that I don't know if they probably have already voted, if I'm not mistaken. The MVP honors or the NFL honors will be in a couple of weeks right before the Super Bowl. But this is how I have it. I still have Matt Stafford. I kind of had him all year, in my opinion, for half of the year, and as the MVP. And I know I fluctuated. Even last week I had him at 3, but just after watching the complete body of work, I've got Matt Stafford at 1, Donald at 2, May at 3, Garrett at 4, and Josh Allen at 5. Then your boy finished the season 169, 102, and 1. A little disappointed. Worse record than last year. First time in the history of our power rankings that I finished the season worse than the season before, and only by a game at that. Last year we went 171, or a game and a half. We went 171, 101. This year we go 169, 102, and 1. So depending on how things would have went, who knows? Went 12-4 in week 16, 9-7 in week 17, and 10-6 to finish it off. Just couldn't get the 12 wins I needed in order to finish either tied or with a better record than last year. Sad me. All right, y'all. Now we're going to go to a part of this where I'm going to give you my power rankings for the playoffs. Now, this is going to look completely different. And I know some people are probably going to crucify me for it, but I do not care. At number 14, I've got Carolina as the least attractive team heading into the playoffs. But I don't put anything past them, because the team that they play tomorrow, for the first game of the playoffs, they beat at home. And guess where they play them at again? At home. So I've been wrong before, people, and y'all all know this, but I got them at 14, and let's see if they can shock the world tomorrow again. At 13, the Green Bay Packers. They backed into the playoffs, 4 straight losses. I don't know what this team is going to look like. No Micah Parsons. I don't know what the defense is going to do. So if you're a Packer enthusiast like your boy, I don't have a ton of hope, but we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely going to pick them to win, because, I'm never going to pick Chicago over Green Bay. That's just how that is. So you can say whatever, but that's just kind of where I'm going to go with that. But I got the Packers at 13 in the power ranking. At number 12, the Chargers. They're another team where it's just like, I don't know what they're going to do. At times they'll win a game. You're like, that's a good Chargers team. They started off the season hot, had a little rough patch, finished up, solid. They're 11-6. I don't know. So we'll see if they can shock everyone and knock off the Patriots, and then have to go and try to beat the Broncos the following week. If that does happen, we'll see. At 11, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh is dangerous for one reason, and that's because of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the only quarterback in the AFC, like I said earlier, that has been in a Super Bowl and has won a Super Bowl. So he has that experience. I don't know if that's going to be able to carry the day, but we'll see if that can make some noise at least, and see if Aaron Rodgers can get back to his second Super Bowl. We don't know. We'll see. At number 10, the Chicago Bears. And then there's parts of me that want to put Chicago higher, but they're another team that I like because they're young, they're talented, they're not afraid. I just don't know what I'm going to get from them just yet. And I'm intrigued to see what that looks like. Chicago's going to have a tough road one way or the other. You got to face a division foe to start things off. If you win, there's a strong chance that you're facing, the Eagles, at home next week. That becomes a little bit more tough, So like it's gonna be interesting for Chicago, but they are talented enough that they could make some noise in this playoffs. At 9, the team that beat them like just a week or so ago in an all-out classic, the San Francisco 49ers. Tough loss to the Seahawks last year, but I like this 49ers team still. And if anybody in the NFC can make a run, and you wouldn't be surprised, it would be San Francisco. They've been to the Super Bowl twice in the last 5-6 years, and their quarterback has been to a Super Bowl. He's one of the quarterbacks in the NFC that have been to a Super Bowl. So we'll see. At number 8, the Buffalo Bills. This is it for Buffalo. I said it a little bit earlier. Your time is now. You can't see me. My time is now. I'm the franchise. My time is now. You can't see me. Your time is now. Look, we have to see you, Buffalo. Josh Allen, we've got to see you, man. This is the time. This is the time that you solidify your history, man. This is what your legacy. You gotta build your legacy in this one. This is it, Josh. We'll see what happens. At 7, the Houston Texans. I talked about the dangerous defense. If the offense can get going, who knows? At 6, the New England Patriots. Yes, Darrell, you're like, wait a minute. They're the 2 seed. They should be higher. They're still a young team. And I just have to see what they can do before I give them all, maybe all the super praise. And yes, you probably said, well, you got Jacksonville over them. There's something about Jacksonville. I just don't know what it is. And I could be wrong. And I'm okay with that. I just don't know what it is yet, but there's something about Jacksonville. At number 4, the team that I picked to go to the Super Bowl, the Los Angeles Rams. They have a quarterback that has won a Super Bowl in Matt Stafford just a couple of years ago. The non-Eagles / non, chief that has won a Super Bowl in the last couple of years. So we'll see if he can lead himself and Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams and that defense to a Super Bowl. At number 3, the Denver Broncos. Denver's got the defense to win a Super Bowl. They've got just enough talent and the right head coach to try to lead them to the Super Bowl. I don't know what it looks like, but we'll see if they can shock. Well, it wouldn't even be a shock to the 1 seed, but we'll see if they can get to the Super Bowl for the first time in last time they went was in 2013. So 2015 when they beat the Panthers. So we'll see if that can happen. A Super Bowl 50 rematch maybe in Super Bowl 60. I don't know about all that. But the Broncos are at 3. At number 2, the Seahawks. The Seahawks have looked phenomenal. We've seen Sam Darnold do his thing. He's been absolutely amazing. And, their defense has been great. Mike McDonald has done a great job with that defense. Will it be enough? We'll see. And it's probably going to be a shock to everybody, but y'all know how I like to respect the champs. I did it at the beginning of this season. They won the Super Bowl. I made them the number 1 team starting off the season. I will do the same thing in the playoffs and adjust from there. But they are, and out of respect to the defending Super Bowl champions, they are the number 1 team ranked in the power rankings. They've got pretty much everybody from last year's team. They've got a few different pieces, but if anybody knows and freshly knows how to win a Super Bowl, it's the defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. Now, to the playoff games. So, tomorrow, we've got the first game of our playoffs, which will be the Panthers and the Rams, the 4-seed Panthers and the 5-seed Rams. That's at 4:30. That's going to be a 4:30 matchup. I'm intrigued to see where it goes, and I'm leaning towards the Rams. In that one, but I don't want to put anything past the Panthers. They have beaten them this season. Then we will see at the 8:00 game, it'll be the Packers and the Bears for the 3rd time. They split the season series. Who's going to go and have bragging rights heading into next season and, and beyond? We'll see. If the Packers, who have been banged up, beat up, can find a way to beat the Chicago team who's had a really, really good season and are the NFC North champions this season. And, of course, we head to Sunday. And on Sunday, the 1:00 game will be Jacksonville and Buffalo. So now I make this statement. I hope I don't jinx them. But my pick to go in the AFC now, that I'll put it this way. Whoever wins this game is who I think goes to the Super Bowl in the AFC. Okay? I'm picking Jacksonville to win this game. And I already had people say, you crazy? We'll see. We'll see. I got Jacksonville winning this game. And I just feel I got this weird feeling the team in this game wins this game, goes to Super Bowl. At the 4:30 game, we got the Eagles and the 49ers. Rematch of the NFC Championship game a few years back where San Francisco got beat up by Philadelphia. They had a whole bunch of injuries, and now they face off again. This is going to be probably the most exciting matchup on the NFC side. In my opinion, it's the most anticipated matchup. I mean, the Bears and the Packers are historic, but that Eagles and 49ers game is going to be some of the doozy. Then at 8 o'clock on Sunday night, you got the Patriots and the Chargers on Peacock. That should be a fun one. But it's hard to call these games. Go Patriots, but it's hard to call these games. And on a bye this week, the teams that played each other in Super Bowl 48, the Seahawks and the Broncos. Now, my winners. I kind of gave a few of them away, but here are my winners for Wildcard Weekend. I got the Rams beating the Panthers, the Packers beating the Bears. I know I could be completely wrong about that, but I told y'all I'm not picking the Bears. I'm just not doing it. The enthusiast in me won't let me do it. Professionally, there's a part that says the Bears win, the professional part, but the enthusiast says, nah, bro, we ain't doing that. And then I got the Eagles sneaking past the 49ers. I don't know how it goes down, but I don't know. It's going to be a good game up there in Lincoln Financial. I got the Jaguars beating Buffalo Bills. I got the Patriots winning over the Chargers and the Steelers beating the Texans. The Texans, I got to find a way to win in the cold. They got to find a way to win in the cold. It's going to be rocking in Pittsburgh, man. And Aaron Rodgers got a chip on his shoulder. We shall see. All right, everybody. That is it for the power ranking edition, the wild card edition of one-on-one. Let me see how that's going to do. Let me see if that's going to let me cut away. Come back. There we go. So this is the Wild Card Weekend edition of the Power Rankings. And once again, thank everybody for coming by, listen to me ramble, talk a little sports, and hopefully, you don't laugh too hard at how I had things going. But like I said, this playoff is hard to pick, and you really could go any way. There's no standout like, oh, this team's definitely going to the Super Bowl. Other years you could say that. Feels that way. This year doesn't feel that way. Anybody can win it, and that's what makes it exciting. Shout out to my guy Andre Hunter, one of my coworkers. Me and him we talked about it all season long, and so he feels the way I feel, man. And it's going to be a wild ride. Let's just see how it goes. Once again, everybody, thank y'all all for tuning in for another episode of One-on-One, episode 197. You guys enjoy Wild Card Weekend this weekend. I know I will be. Make sure tomorrow morning at 11, you check out myself and Elwood, aka HB Prince, as we go for a review of the past week in WWE. Once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in once again for another episode of One-on-One. We'll see you all back next week. Probably will be Friday again, as we preview episode 190, or give you episode 198 and preview the divisional weekend of the playoffs. All right, y'all. Until then, peace. One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.